Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, if you're a high school principal, a district superintendent, or really any kind of educational leader right now, I want you to mentally step out of your office for just a second. We're living in this hyper-connected, AI-driven era, right? Yet there's this kind of unsettling question hanging over modern education. Are we actually preparing students for the reality of tomorrow, or are we just beautifully, efficiently managing the structures of the past? Let's dive into this.
Just picture taking a walk onto almost any high school campus today. You're walking down the hallway, you hear the bells ringing, you peek into the classrooms, you check out the master schedule, and if you look closely past all that day-to-day busy work, you're going to see something genuinely unsettling. There is a profound disconnect happening literally right in front of us, a massive gap between the building you're running and the real world spinning outside of it. You see, the world outside your campus walls, it's already living in a fully realized 2026. It's shifting incredibly fast to AI-driven workflows, parallel processing, multimodal creation, autonomous agents, the whole shebang. But then we peer into those classrooms, and what do we actually see? We're often looking at a 1996 operating system. We've got students rotating through these rigid 55-minute periods. We see them passively taking notes from static presentations. We see them filling out worksheets that honestly look like they could have been photocopied back during the Reagan administration. Now, let me be absolutely clear about something. No one, and I mean no one, is questioning whether educators are trying. We know you and your teachers are working yourselves to the bone. You're putting in grueling hours just to keep the lights on and keep these kids engaged. But we've got to ask the harder question here. Is the underlying system itself fundamentally flawed for what we need today? Is it possible that this 20th century model you're trying so incredibly hard to optimize was just built for a totally different world? Well, think about the structures most high schools still rely on. They were designed for predictable careers, linear information flow, and very teacher-centered instruction. They lean heavily on siloed subjects and compliance-driven assessments. And you know what? That model was brilliant. It made perfect sense. For a world where information was scarce, a world where you had to physically walk to a library and open up an encyclopedia just to find one single fact. It worked perfectly when the economy was relatively stable and predictable. But we don't live in that world anymore. Let's fast forward to the reality of 2026. Information isn't scarce at all. It's overwhelmingly abundant. Today, AI agents are running complex multi-step workflows. Students aren't just sitting around consuming information. They're literally creating sophisticated apps, shooting videos, and building dynamic simulations right on their phones while standing in the cafeteria line. In this new landscape, adaptability and creativity are the absolute new currency. A 20th century school structure simply cannot prepare students for this hyper-dynamic 21st century reality. No way. Now, what's really interesting here is the glaring mismatch between what today's graduates actually need and what our schools continue to measure. To succeed right now, out there, students have to know how to collaborate with AI, they need to design open-ended solutions instead of just memorizing facts, and they have to navigate incredibly complex, multimodal information. Yet how do we measure their success? Multiple choice tests, isolated assignments, static textbooks, a rigid one-size-fits-all pacing guide? We are measuring the completely wrong things because, well, we're using the wrong tools. So the crucial point is this. Fixing this issue isn't just about going out and buying more iPads or slapping some new software platform on top of an old curriculum. Handing out tablets in a traditional classroom, it's kind of like strapping a jet engine onto a horse-drawn carriage. The shift we need isn't about just adding technology. It's about a complete, from-the-ground-up upgrade of your instructional operating system. If you're still running on disconnected units, teacher-created materials that don't scale, and outdated frameworks, you're not just behind, you're running a totally defunct system. Enter the solution, the Max Effect. This is what a true 2026 instructional operating system actually looks like. It's a comprehensive structural system upgrade designed specifically to replace those traditional siloed educational models. And listen, this isn't just the latest administrative buzzword to throw around. It is a fundamental rethinking of how a school operates day to day, designed to finally bridge that gap between your school's environment and the real world. So let's break down exactly what this new operating system looks like in practice. First up, the Max Effect takes those outdated, drawn-out pacing guides and literally tears them up, replacing them with something called FRUPs. Think of these as modular, highly relevant 2-week units built entirely around inquiry. Instead of a rigid semester-long slog where you just watch student engagement slowly flatline over months, learning becomes agile, it's dynamic, and it's instantly relevant to what's happening right now in the real world. Let's move to the next piece and see how this builds. Because this agility is powered by a component called Navigator OS. Instead of having a teacher standing at the front of the room, bottlenecking the flow of information for 30 kids, Navigator OS operates as a dynamic, student-centered workflow system. It empowers your students to manage complex tasks autonomously. It mirrors exactly how modern professional teams collaborate and operate out in the actual workforce. Next, we integrate AI directly into the daily instructional flow through GEMS. Now, these are AI-powered instructional tools, and it's absolutely crucial to understand they do not replace your teachers. They heavily augment them. They provide the kind of immediate feedback and scalable personalization that a single teacher, who is probably exhausted from managing upwards of 150 students a day across multiple periods, simply cannot achieve alone. It lifts that massive burden of repetitive tasks and allows educators to focus on what they do best: true mentorship. And this brilliantly illustrates the final layer, which all of this culminates in: SSF. This introduces a media-rich, multimodal learning environment. It fundamentally shifts your classrooms from places where students just sit and consume static text into active production studios where they're creating professional-grade media. And the best part? All of this is tied together by parallelized production. That basically means the curriculum can update as fast as the world changes, rather than waiting for a textbook refresh every, 7 years? Okay, so as an educational leader, let's do a quick, honest audit of your campus right now. Does your school still use static pacing guides? Do you rely almost entirely on individual, teacher-made materials? Are your departments teaching in complete isolation from one another? Are you assessing students primarily with low-level recall tasks and maybe only updating your curriculum once a decade? If you just answered yes to those questions, well, here is the harsh but necessary truth. You are effectively running Windows 95 in a world of cloud-native, AI-powered systems. You're operating a 20th century school. And you know what the real kicker is? Your students know it. They feel that jarring time travel disconnect every single day they walk through your doors, power down their cutting-edge devices, and are told to just stare at a whiteboard for an hour.
But hey, it really doesn't have to be this way. The opportunity sitting right in front of you in 2026 is absolutely immense. Incredible AI systems like Gemini Flash, Anti-Gravity 2.0, and Spark exist right now today. They allow you to generate relevant, highly personalized curriculum in minutes, not months. They empower schools to run autonomous instructional workflows and maintain units that are literally always updated. The tools to run these modern workflows? They're already here. The frameworks, like the Max Effect, exist today. The need to upgrade is urgent. 2026 is the year districts absolutely must make a definitive choice. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder for your own campus. Will your high school remain a museum of old instructional practices, preserving a world that honestly no longer exists? Or will you step up, run the system upgrade, and become a modern learning ecosystem built for the world your students are actually entering? The choice is yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and good luck with your system upgrade.